Sound, camera, action.
I think I've actually made better.
I came into the show earlier than everyone except Sid, really, back in at the time of the pilot. So we'd come up with the pilot when we'd seen quite a lot of people our age had genuinely no idea how to cook at all. Wouldn't it be funny if we just sort of got someone our age to just go on a cooking show? So we got Zen, and Zen's a great guy, he's funny, and we thought, let's just put him in front of the camera, give him a dish and say, make it. It was great fun doing the pilot. So when Sid wanted to do a whole season of it, do it properly, that idea justice properly, I obviously wanted to be a part of it and wanted to be part of the show's development.
I was pretty involved with the process. I came up with a few ideas. I think I threw out the idea of bringing my grandma in, but I was kind of shocked when she was actually there because I didn't think we'd actually go through with it.
So my role in pre-production was essentially getting everybody to try and bounce ideas off of each other and then writing those all up in a massive Google document that we had.
Oh, it was 2 years ago now. The first call we had was 2 years ago about Zen's cooking. I think we came up with like a chef or something. Obviously, me and Henry didn't know that would be followed through, and I came up with the joke titles. So, like, High Stakes was actually my title, but I didn't know that it would be used.
Sid put a lot of ideas to me of food we can do and that, and I was helping, and then he'd put it off to Jamie, and then Jamie would bring it back, and we're all like putting it together.
I was supposed to be like the director of photography before as well. Me and Sid had a call, and then we were setting it all up, and we were talking about where we put the cameras and stuff.
I think so you can just leave it on the outside. You see where the light is on the left?
I tried to create the general essence of the show, and I tried to choose the location. Well, we'd looked at quite a few locations for our scouting, and we'd looked at some professional kitchens, some sort of catering kitchens, and we ended up going back to the school for a few main reasons. Firstly, the pilot episode had been filmed there, so it was a natural choice in that respect. But also, seeing as the whole show was focused around the improvement of the contestants, a school sort of symbolically embodied that. It was a good location for shooting, it was accessible for all of us, and the school were accommodating in the amount of time they gave us and the amount of freedom they gave us around the site. During the pre-production, the overall format evolved and we moved to 2 contestants. Originally we thought it would be Zen plus someone else in sort of head-to-head style. Len was the right choice for the role because he is able to get on screen, deliver the information he needs to do, be a confident presence on screen, and then lead them to it.
The screen test was an exciting experience because I got to see what they wanted with the show before anyone else really, and I got to be a part of the actual episode. And even just like Sid and Jamie figuring things out, and it was fun, it was great.
Zen, who was meant to actually be on the show, he didn't show up to the screen test, I think, and so I got a call from Sid with about saying like, oh, you need to get here like within the hour, and I just woken up.
Unfortunately, Zen was busy at the last minute, so he couldn't actually make it to the screen test itself. So we had to reach out to Tom, who we'd already contacted before, and said, we're quite unsure whether Zen's completely committed to this. And we asked him if he'd be willing to be there as backup. Yeah, so Tom came on really short notice. I was so grateful for that. And then, yeah, it just happened out of circumstance that Tom and Henry were a perfect fit. The screen test was a great opportunity, really, to break the ice before filming actually started.
At the screen test, I think I was the only person confirmed on screen. They were very interesting together, and that's why you were able to see them on your screen afterwards. One of you has edged it by 1 point. Tom.
Oh, fucking no.
I think all of this is good. We just need, with the improved production quality, I think that's what will make it like.
That will make or break it 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another briefcase.
Next day delivery.
Apparently Haribos are included.
Alright, cool.
First day, that was a lot of pressure.
The first day, I had no clue what was going on. I've met these people for the first time, so I'm feeling a bit like nervous, obviously.
It's just like, someone needs to buzz me in.
On set, there are a few issues that we faced that we hadn't considered too much before. The audio really was the main issue, and that really was a big worry early on because we had problems with getting all the different audio equipment to work together and work properly.
And on the first day when we encountered countless issues one after another, Rowan was an absolute blessing to the production. We'd go all the way over to the music department, which he had asked for permission to sort of get hardware from there.
Which lead file do you want to choose?
Oh my god.
Rowan eventually got it working perfectly and solved all these difficult technical issues.
If we'd had an adapter, we would have been able to record 2 sets of audio, but we just couldn't because we didn't have that one bloody XLR adapter.
Just one tiny little part, which then ended up coming after filming finished, which is such a pain.
Sound, camera, action.
Stop.
With the intro, it was under a lot of pressure because it's the first episode, and I've got to introduce it to a load of people and try and get as many people interested in it and in the whole series as I can, because that's the first thing they see.
Oh. Anise has just gone again.
Without further ado, let me introduce our first of 2 contestants, Henry.
The fact that Jamie left and then I got it first straight away as soon as he left was quite comical, really. Like, nothing to do with him there.
Denise, would you mind sitting on that side? Just because I'm filming me. Lee again was a huge shock because it was never meant to be Lee originally.
He didn't have really much prior experience as a cameraman.
Considering the fact that he had just been dragged in the last minute, I was really, really impressed just with how dedicated he was to the whole thing.
It's time. Soon.
If you think about a game show, you'd have or something like that, they'd be like, come in, and then like it'll be a long walk, and you'd sort of get a feel for who the one person looks like. Yeah, it creates suspense, and then we probably a bit of music.
Well, Leno off camera, he was very like relaxed and very laid back, and you know he'd have a joke, but in front of the camera, you know he just sort of like switched that side of him off and just became very like well spoken, but you know not mess about or make a joke of things.
One of my favourite parts was generally behind the scenes when Tom and Henry would go out and get their shopping, and it was the chaos of trying to getting the set ready.
In the first episode, Sid and Jamie had the brilliant idea of following me and Henry around the whole store for all of it, filming everything with our mics strapped on so they could hear us as well, yeah? And the one funny bit of that episode got cut, where it's me singing I'm Every Woman along with the Asda radio.
I'm every woman. Nope, someone's stealing.
That got cut because, I don't know, fuck me, I guess.
Seeing how the British public act when there's a camera in the situation, it's like a zoo enclosure.
Have you got permission to do that? Yeah. Have you? Yeah. I don't usually let people do it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're Japanese.
We said yeah, but then he said something about if you were Asian it would be a problem. It was just like old white dude.
Right, you ready? Right, wait.
High five me. Oh yeah.
That was crisp.
The first episode, in a way, still holds a special place because it was the first one that we really got to see come together. It was really rewarding to see that first one.
Yes.
Yo! Is the egg timer going? Oh yeah, I forgot that's how this works. Hello.
To not make noise in there.
It's hard.
Lee, like, balancing over the hobs while Tom's working underneath him.
Like, he was to my left filming Tom, so I'd look over and like he'd be like on a table or something. I was like, the fuck's that man doing?
So I was in the first episode, so I'm going to say that's my favourite one.
Anise is Anise. She's really kind. She's lovely.
Anise is a fucking icon.
After each day, me and Jamie were adamant that we had to evaluate, and we had a call each night that lasted about an hour to go over what worked, what didn't work, what to change for the next day.
The second day, I feel like I found my groove. I found my place in the ecosystem.
I remember walking into the other room that we had, and on the whiteboard she would be like writing out a schedule of all the things we needed to do in the day, and a lot of the time she actually caught me out, because she would go, oh, it's 12 o'clock, we need to start filming, and I'd go, oh my god, it is 12 o'clock. Like I wasn't even keeping track of time as much as she was.
I used to go to like the shops and stuff and buy like biscuits and tea for like us all to drink and stuff, and then I just thought it was really nice that no one judged me for just drinking glasses of milk every day.
As much as you can say about camera work, it is just holding a camera and making sure it's put in the right place, whereas sort of halfway through I ended up working a bit more on the lighting side as well, which, you know, how to counterbalance stuff properly and just lighting on the go in general, which I still clearly haven't done very well.
Well, Sam turning up in a suit is just Sam.
And it was just quite a shock to us because we were all like in the most lazy sort of like.
Still confused why he turned up in a suit.
A mystery that no one will ever understand or get to the bottom of.
Okay, I've been asked this question many times now about why I was wearing a suit while recording XEN'S cooking. Alright, I think you should be asking a different question, like why wasn't I wearing more than a suit while recording XEN'S cooking, or why wasn't everyone wearing a suit while recording XEN'S cooking? So, I helped explain this with a helpful diagram, okay? So what you got here is a businessman. I call this the suit businessman dilemma, okay? You got a businessman. You can't expect them, okay? You can't defend against them without a suit. Here comes me, right? Swag, okay? Sick, epic. I take out the businessman. Everyone's happy, okay? Second point. Suits, they're just epic. They're just better than... So here we go. Bad, right? Horrible. Swag, epic. Alright. So hopefully this has explained why I wore a suit while recording XEN'S cooking. So thank you.
I think he must have had a miscommunication in the group chat, but
What the fuck is up, Kyle?
No, what did you say? What the fuck, dude? Step the fuck up, Kyle.
Step the fuck up, Kyle.
Oh, do you want the clapping?
Yeah.
When I was on set, as the director, I had to look at the set as a whole and sort of imagine how it would be on camera.
I did really like having Jamie as the director. He was very chill, but he knew what he wanted to do and how he wanted to get it across, but he wasn't ever mean about it.
He took on a lot of stuff, and you could tell that he really enjoyed doing it, and he was very invested in it.
It was an honour to work with Jamie, to be honest. I still feel like I sort of dragged him in a sense, because I reached out to him after I hadn't spoken to him for years and years, just out of the blue. I think originally I asked him about the password to the channel and if he had it, and then a few days later I explained everything. He was like, "Are you actually being serious?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
My favourite day was definitely the third day. We had got it down to an art and it felt highly professional, and we were all doing what we needed to do, and it was all just working so perfectly.
By that point, we were, working on all cylinders. It was going great. We all knew what we were doing. We all knew what our roles were. And we just got on with it just to get through the final day. I just remember going in the morning and on the whiteboard we had like day 3, let's go. And everyone was just so determined to get this done.
I just enjoyed like helping decorate, and felt weirdly Christmassy for the middle of summer. And it was just so absurd because it was like boiling hot outside and we've got like Christmas music on, we're all in the spirit.
Anise, you look like the Statue of Liberty holding that.
My favourite episode to film was probably the Christmas episode.
The fact that Lee and Anise both put Christmas hats on, you know, no one told them to do that, but there they were, just having a good time.
I hate Christmas. My worst episode for me personally that we had to film was the Christmas episode, because everybody decided it was 9 in the morning. 9 in the morning, and I came on the set and it was like, and I could hear in my ears was.
It's so. This side.
No, hate it. No.
Everyone just got on with it. Just enjoyed the atmosphere, which is really great to see. Just everyone having fun with it.
When Lee did fall asleep while taking a shot, and we were all like, what's going on? Why is he asleep?
I've got Lee falling asleep while filming with his head in the eyepiece, just holding the camera, just.
It was the 3rd day of filming. We've been filming for long days. I didn't get much sleep. I may or may not have accidentally nodded off whilst filming.
He was just sort of tucked in the corner by the microwave, just, you know, having a little snooze. And yeah, that was a bit ridiculous.
What I'm trying to say here is, if there's a season 2, don't expect my name in the credits.
So during the Christmas episode, I had to go and collect Henry's grandma from the front gate, and I just thought she was so lovely.
She was very nervous. But she was so sweet. She had that just general sweet grandma vibe, just like, oh, I'm so nice here. Have all of the points you want. Have everything that you want because I love you that much.
The fact that Henry and Tom tied was so lucky. That was something that we couldn't have like sort of rigged, because we had no control over what the judges said or did during the whole thing. Like we didn't know that Miss Cracknell wasn't going to taste it.
When we went into the final episode, it being tied, like it really worked out for the show.
It just came together so perfectly.
I think the best bits of filming, looking back, are probably the little bits where we were ahead of schedule or we didn't have anything to do, because we didn't even manage to have a lunch break. We were always running behind schedule. So I think on the last day there was a little point where Lennon did his introduction first time, so we had tons of time left over and we all just basically got to breathe and just sort of sit back. I think that was the point where Lee did the shot of jalapeno juice.
Go on. Yeah.
I think it was the worst thing I have ever done.
We've been with these people over the past 3 days, but it's just been one thing after another, working in a sort of professional environment. So at that point we were like, well, let's just hang out for a little bit and just, you know, speak to each other and actually just relax.
What? Rowan, can you explain what's happened here? Worse?
That one was worse because there was chicken stuck to it.
Episode 5 was just such a nice and satisfying end to the show and filming as well.
It was a cricket match. We wasn't expecting it at all. I don't think we've been told about it before.
I still don't know what happened on that cricket pitch. Tom's reaction summed it up pretty well.
That's not allowed at a cricket match, that's for sure.
Of course, I was the one that contacted all the guest judges and let them know the time they've got to be there. But when they actually arrived on set, a lot of the time I was still filming the cooking sections. There was a little bit of an overlap there. For example, with Mark Pierre, I'd go in and Lennon would be there already speaking to him and getting that chemistry.
Introducing Mark Pierre was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. Like,
There's so much water there, it pisses me off because I can see it.
it was such a big thing and I had to get it across of how important it was.
Right. Hello.
I think my favourite guest judge was Mark Pierre. He was so chill. He was so down with mics, and it's like he had no questions. He was not awkward. And he was just a nice guy, you know.
We expected a Gordon Ramsay basically, and he's just such a nice and sincere guy. Like honestly, like there's so much to be said about him.
My favourite part about filming overall was really watching how our ideas transformed so well into production, because there were so many things that had we executed them poorly, it could have turned out so much worse. And the quality of the final piece, you could really see on set that it was going almost exactly as we'd planned.
Is it as good as the big man says?
This is...
Everyone's like, get in line.
One of the highlights is definitely eating the steak that Henry made. Oh my god, it was amazing.
This is my steak.
Oh my god, Lee's face.
This is a steak on a stool.
I love steak. This is like genuinely the best steak I've ever had. This shit is the best steak I've ever had.
Henry just like, yeah, that's alright.
I think I actually made better before.
Remembering how it tastes now, I want to eat it again.
As they leave, I follow them. I will
And you will be doing the outro.
I thought me and Jane were setting our expectations too high for Lennon when you consider the fact that he had no background in presenting or any form of acting, because Lennon had to act more than Tom and Henry did.
We had 3 calls. We just sat there for about an hour just going through parts of the script and making sure I had how I was saying it was correct to how they wanted it.
He had quite a big responsibility to make sure that the audience knew what was happening, knew why it was happening.
And improved so much over the course of the production as well. You can see, comparing the first intro, which took probably about 17 takes, and then you compare it to the fact that he did the outro, the very outro when he walks along to the light switch, improvised and first time.
Goodbye, kitchen, you were good to us.
So filming the epilogue was probably one of my favourite bits, because I just got to sit down with them in a relaxed setting, just talking about everything that we had gone over those 3 days. It was only going to originally be like a very short snippet. I had 10 questions, I think it was, that I had to try and get them to answer, and it turned out it was like well over 40 minutes. And we were originally going to film on a balcony looking over the harbour, but it just kept getting dark and the lighting wasn't good, so we moved upstairs. We had Jamie and Sid on cameras sat on these swegways as they were like sort of rolling around with the cameras. So yeah, it was just the 40 minutes there just was one of my favourite parts, just to be able to talk to them both.
Use your ankles to go back and forth.
I go backwards, reverse.
The epilogue was a really nice moment. It was a really relaxed time outside of the kitchen, because the kitchen had become vaguely stressful by the end. Tom and Henry and Lennon could all just discuss their experiences after the fact. We wanted a certain amount of production, but only enough to convey what they had to say. I think the moment was real and nice to watch, even without like an amazing production quality, amazing lighting. I think even if we just filmed it on someone's phone, it would have still come across as a nice moment.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Hey.
You meant to say that's a wrap. You meant to say that's a wrap.
Fuck you.
No.
Go on.
Go,
That's a
do
wrap.
it. Do it.
That's a wrap.
Well, I always had a deadline with editing, because from the very early stages we wanted to use that weekly release model, and we really wanted it to be in December as well, because obviously it was all centric around that Christmas episode. So I was basically just working to that. At points we had up to 6 camera angles, which I had to basically sync up. Obviously you have the GoPro, there's 2 static ones normally, 2 handhelds, and then sometimes you'd have my phone as well. Jamie would just walk around, float around with my phone.
During the post-production, I was mainly there for any creative decisions that came about during the editing. If we should include certain bits of film, if we should take them out, how various parts of the episode should be structured.
Me and Jamie would just hop in a call. I sent over basically drafts. I think I sent him 3 or 4 drafts of each episode to show him how I'm getting along. It took several months. It was just putting all the pieces together. Little things like in the overhead shots with the GoPro, I'd always edit out the tape on the floor, which we use for blocking purposes. And also the title sequence. Originally we wanted to have a graphic designer come in and do that, but I think mainly budgeting issues. I knew that it was always going to be quite simple, so I just thought I'd just do it myself. Almost entirely in Premiere Pro, apart from the names that write themselves on. That was After Effects.
First of all, I was really excited for it. I was really happy. I had a lot of fun making that because I wanted the viewers to be excited for what was going to come and what they were going to see.
I might cry.
I'd make markers on my timeline to show what was missing, and if it was red, it was something that we really couldn't really substitute. Probably around late September, October time, there was a lot of red markers, so I started to put a list together of all these red markers and all the things that I needed to refilm, or things that were missing. And then I managed to double that up with ADR. And then I tripled it up with photography, so we really needed to go back to the kitchen for quite a few reasons, and I just condensed them all down into this one day at the end of October where we could get back together and just fill in those gaps. And yeah, we were really lucky to have Emily there doing the photography and got some amazing pictures for promotional purposes.
Brilliant photographer. It's just a shame that me and Sid had gotten very, very drunk the night before. I look like I'm on death.
Epidemic Sound was a really good choice. The only thing that we had to pay for was the subscription, but it was all uncopyrighted music, and the way we were able to go around and use the site was really helpful because we could pick a filter.
So me and Rowan compiled a playlist for each episode of all the music we wanted to use, so that was ready to go. And then Tom, of course, doing the actual music editing.
I didn't see any of the clips, so I had to guess with the music. Like, Sid did his best to write down briefs, and I tried my best to follow them, but without actually seeing the clips, obviously it was very hard.
It was found again on Epidemic Sound, which was really, really helpful, so we could keep something from the original pilot episode and carry it on to the new season. And I almost have a little bit, it just fits it so well. It's so catchy. It's upbeat enough, but it still has that type of jazz thing that's so common with cooking show sounds, and it's great. I love it. Trying to come up with something that would fit the vibe of XEN'S cooking and create it. Some tries were absolutely horrific, but others were great.
At the time for marketing, well, we looked at things like how Disney Plus and Netflix are marketing their TV shows on their social medias, and tried making it really modern and not as professional, and more something like that, but the people running were like fans of the show.
I love TikTok. I spent a lot of time on it, so I was like, wait, we could actually create a TikTok just for XEN'S, Well, I tried making some videos, but unfortunately I didn't have time to actually make it a thing, even though I would have really loved to do that.
Obviously, if there's a day I couldn't do something, Sid would cover it for me. And then also, like, a big part of the marketing was being in the premiere with all the people that were watching it. And Sid told me what he wanted posted. I went in, I put the caption, and we just worked well together.
Oh, the premiere was lovely. I wasn't expecting it to be so wonderful.
The premiere was a lot of fun.
Sid's sister, she just did this whole design thing of XEN'S cooking, where it was an X and a C, and it was filled with all these foods and stuff.
The letters, which we had all the food in, which she made, which was based on the logo, and she had little decorations which were like red and black. And that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be tied to Zen's cooking. At the same time, it was just us getting back together.
The premiere was really just a great fun time where we could just sort of enjoy the thing that we had all worked so hard to create. There was a lovely atmosphere there, everyone was there, and
so much went into it for something that wasn't like, it was for the crew.
Like, we had it in a really nice place. We opened like a bottle of champagne or whatever the fuck it was.
It was really fun seeing everyone again after a few months of not really interacting with these people coming back.
Describe the show in one word.
One word.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Masterclass.
Challenging.
I would go with rewarding.
Lucky, because I think everything fell into place in the best way possible, and there was so much that could have gone wrong that didn't, which made it so we have Zen's cooking in its entirety.
I was worried at times that all the effort that I was putting in behind the scenes wouldn't really pay off, but the experience that I got from it, and you know, the people that I met, just seeing the final product there is just so amazing.
I sort of saw a show more like just about like, you know, just friends sort of getting along, making their show. Like, you can see it when I watch a show. I feel like I don't see it as like an actual competition as such. I just see it as sort of like people messing about, having fun, and that really comes through for me, like in the show.
it was fun for us to make, and it's intended to be fun for people to watch. It's just sort of a bit of fun that can be enjoyed by everyone.
Smell the shit as well. Maybe some veg. Fuck you.
So what do you think of it?
Give me a minute.
I'm proud of that one. We hope that they will be... Oh, welcome to the third episode of... Oh, fuck. No. This is the show where our two contestants face off... Oh, fuck's sake. Third episode of Zen's Cooking. Oh. I get put off by Tom, not gonna lie.
What am I doing?
I don't know what it is.
This thing.
You're just there. And welcome to the third episode.
Jamie was in there.
Yeah.
So I've got to get out.
Sorry, Jamie.
Sorry.
Give me
I was expecting to be a bit quicker.
Give me like...
Is that...
Why?
Why?
Stress.
Oh, well. No, it was definitely that one though.
Just stare at the camera.
Whoa!
Alright.
Do you want to get with this?
But that is a good point.
Lob it.
Lob it on the floor.
Yeah, put it on the floor.
Oh, fuck!
Quiet.
Tom, do you think you've got what it takes with this meal to beat Henry?
The most fun part of making the meal was the cameraman.
That's better. That's the best we're going to do. What's the story of the jalapeno?
You don't want. What's the story about? it's Wagyu, of course.
Wagyu?
Yeah, it's Wagyu.
Ribeye.
Ribeye. Oh yeah, ribeye. I was going to say, Wagyu, how's the budget for this programme? I get them very much confused because I've never cooked in my life.